Welcome to a deep dive you helped create. We're taking a close look at reincarnation today. Specifically, how souls transition from one human life to the next, using your excerpts from Kirpal Singh's spiritual elixir.
It's a fascinating area to explore.
It really is. And you're interested in not just reincarnation, but the possibility of actually recognizing reincarnated souls.
Exactly. It's one thing to consider the idea, but another to see it, maybe even in our own lives.
That's where we'll focus today, using spiritual elixir as our guide. To start, can you give us a little background on Kirpal Singh? Who was he, and why should we care what he had to say about reincarnation?
Well, Kirpal Singh was a spiritual master, lived from 1894 to 1974. What makes his perspective so valuable, I think, is that he really digs into those tough questions surrounding reincarnation. He doesn't shy away from them, and he pulls from these ancient traditions, but also his own, I guess you could say, insights.
Yeah, I noticed right away that Singh challenges some common assumptions about reincarnation. He argues that it's not always this straight line, this progression from, lower to higher life forms. It's not just about climbing a ladder, right?
Right. Singh emphasizes that the soul's journey is way more, how should I put it, intricate than that. It's more of a tapestry.
Okay, tapestry. I like that. So how does that work?
Well, he introduces this concept of prarabdha karma. You can kind of think of it like your soul's to-do list for this life. It's that portion of your past karma that you're here to work through.
Okay, a to-do list. I can get behind that. So is our past basically set in stone then?
Well, not necessarily. That's what makes it so interesting. He's saying that, you're born with this karmic, I guess you could say, script, but you're not totally bound by it. Your free will, your choices in this life, they can actually change the course of your prarabdha karma. And then on top of that, you create new karma that'll shape your future lifetimes. It's really about understanding those tendencies you came in with and then making conscious choices to evolve.
Okay, so it's like having a roadmap, but we can choose to take a detour, maybe even build a new road altogether. I like that. He also uses this really vivid analogy of a soul returning to a human body being like a lamp being relit from a previous flame. Such a striking image. What does that tell us about, consciousness after death?
Yeah, Singh loves using these really vivid images to get his point across. And I think in this case, he's trying to get us to see that consciousness doesn't just disappear, right? The lamp analogy, it emphasizes that the soul, that essential you-ness, it keeps its individuality even as it takes on this new physical form. There's a continuity there, a thread, connecting your past lives to this one.
That's a powerful image. It makes you wonder what parts of ourselves might be echoes of those past lives. Speaking of echoes, let's talk about recognizing those reincarnated souls. Singh describes some pretty specific signs in the excerpts he sent. For example, he suggests that a soul reborn from another human life might be drawn back to their former master. And, get this, they might even be mistreated by their current disciples. It's almost like a spiritual boomerang effect,
It's not really about punishment, though. It's more about, I think, those subtle kind of dynamics at play in the soul's journey. You see, Singh's suggesting that these souls, the ones coming back from a human life, they haven't quite grasped the freedom that comes with having a human body,
So they're drawn back to what's familiar, even if it wasn't always, easy or fun. Like they're trying to pick up where they left off.
Exactly. And that presence, even the challenges it might bring, it can be like a catalyst for growth for both of them, the soul and those around them.
Singh also mentions that these souls might be, remarkably fearless. Does that come from knowing they've done this whole cycle before?
Yeah, maybe. Imagine carrying the wisdom of, countless experiences, understanding that death isn't the end, it's just, a transition. That kind of perspective, I think, could lead to a really deep sense of peace and, fearlessness.
Right. You're not so afraid of the unknown when you've, already been there, done that. It reminds me of that saying, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. But wouldn't remembering traumatic past lives actually create more fear? What about those people who say, oh, yeah, I was a king in my past life?
Singh does acknowledge that some memories might not be, easily accessible. Maybe for our own good, It's more about, I think, recognizing those patterns, the themes that emerge, those subtle threads that connect your past to your present.
Okay, so it's less about remembering every single detail and more about recognizing those broader patterns. Maybe you've always been drawn to certain cultures, or you have this natural talent that you're where did that come from?
Exactly. Those could be hints, whispers from your past lives giving you these little glimpses into your soul's journey.
It's like you're trying to solve a mystery, right? looking for clues, patterns, and not just trying to remember every single thing. This is fascinating stuff. You send in an excerpt where Singh tells this story about a German woman who accidentally hits a man with her car. And then years later, she encounters him reincarnated as a baby boy in India. She was even guided to help him with a medical condition caused by, get this, their accident in the past life.
Wild, right?
Yeah.
It's a powerful story, but how common are those kinds of like dramatic, interconnected experiences?
Yeah. Well, instances like that might be rare. They really do highlight that interconnectedness that Singh keeps emphasizing. He's saying that on a soul level, we're not these isolated beings. Our actions, they have ripples, and those ripples can intersect with other people's lives in these really unexpected ways. That's a powerful thought. Really makes you think about the impact of your actions, not just in this life, but like across lifetimes.
Exactly. It's about realizing we're part of something so much bigger than ourselves, right? Like this tapestry of souls, all woven together across time and space.
Okay, this has been incredibly insightful. But let's bring it back down to earth for a moment. This is all fascinating, everything, but what does it actually mean for the average person? Why should we care about recognizing reincarnated souls in our everyday lives?
That's a great question. And I think it gets to the heart of why Singh's work is so compelling. See, understanding reincarnation, it's not just about satisfying our curiosity about past lives. It can really change how we live this life.
How so?
Well, for one thing, it can make us more compassionate. Imagine seeing the people in your life, not just as they are now, but as souls who have lived and loved and lost across lifetimes. It can give you this whole other level of understanding of their strengths, their weaknesses, even those little quirks that drive you crazy.
It's like realizing that everyone is fighting a battle you know nothing about, carrying burdens from lifetimes you can only imagine.
Exactly. And that understanding, I think it can bring so much empathy and patience to your relationships.
And it could also help make sense of those instant connections you feel with some people or places, like you were meant to be in each other's lives.
Exactly. Reincarnation suggests that our souls, they often travel in these groups, drawn together by these shared karmic lessons or maybe even unfinished business from other lifetimes. And recognizing those connections can help you see the deeper purpose of your relationships in this life.
So it's not just about recognizing who someone was, but understanding the karmic dance you're creating together in this lifetime.
Exactly. It definitely adds a whole new dimension to the idea of soulmates, right?
It really does. But Singh also seems to imply that remembering your past lives isn't always a good thing. He even suggests that it might be hidden from us for a reason.
That's true. He cautions against getting too caught up in those details, especially if those memories bring up a lot of pain, regret, or even a desire for revenge.
So it's not about dwelling on the past or trying to justify your current situation based on what happened before.
Right. The real value, I think, is in recognizing those patterns, the lessons, and using that understanding to make more, conscious choices today.
So it's about learning from the past without being chained to it.
Yeah.
Using those insights to build a better future.
Exactly. Singh reminds us that the ultimate goal is liberation. Freeing ourselves from that cycle of karma and suffering, and dwelling on past lives, especially if it's feeding your ego, that can be a distraction from that goal.
It's like getting so caught up reading your old diaries that you forget to actually live your life.
That's a great analogy.
Okay, so we've talked about how understanding reincarnation can make us more compassionate and help us really get our relationships. But how does it apply to our own personal growth? If we don't remember those specifics, how can we learn from our past lives?
Singh's suggesting that those past lives, they aren't erased. They become part of who we are. They show up in our talents, our fears, even our totally irrational attractions to things. He encourages people to really look inward, explore those parts of yourself that just feel innate, those things you can't really explain.
Like a love for a certain type of music, or those weird recurring dreams that feel oddly familiar.
Exactly. Those could be echoes of those past lives, offering little glimpses into your soul's journey and the lessons you're here to work on.
So it's about tuning into those inner nudges, those things you're drawn to, and seeing what they might be trying to tell you about your path.
Precisely. It's a subtle process, but it can lead to some amazing insights.
Singh also talks about souls being mistreated by their disciples in this lifetime, almost like they're being, tested or challenged.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems counterintuitive, right? Shouldn't spiritual progress be met with support and encouragement?
It's true that the path of spiritual growth, it's not always, sunshine and roses. Singh acknowledges that there will be obstacles, challenges that kind of force us to confront our limitations and, I guess you could say, strengthen our resolve.
So it's not about avoiding hardship, but learning how to, navigate it with grace.
Exactly. These challenges, even the ones that come from unexpected places, they're all opportunities to cultivate patience, forgiveness, even detachment.
It's like those strength training workouts, right? You're putting stress on your muscles to make them stronger.
Precisely. And just like those workouts, those challenges we face on the spiritual path, they're designed to make us stronger, more resilient, and ultimately more capable of experiencing true liberation.
This concept of a spiritual master comes up a lot in Singh's work. He seems to suggest that having a guide is essential for navigating all the complexities of, the spiritual path.
Yeah, he puts a lot of emphasis on finding a true master, someone who has already walked the path, and can offer guidance based on their own, direct experience.
So it's not just about reading books or going to workshops. It's about finding someone who, embodies those teachings.
Exactly. Singh describes a true master as, a beacon of light. Someone who can help you see your own blind spots, navigate those challenges we were just talking about, and stay focused on that ultimate goal, liberation.
It's like having a Sherpa guide you up Mount Everest. They've been there, they know the terrain, they can help you avoid the pitfalls.
That's a great analogy. And just like those Sherpas, a true master, they don't climb the mountain for you.
Wow.
But they give you the tools, the knowledge, the encouragement, to make the climb yourself.
That makes a lot of sense. But how do you even go about finding a true master? But how do you know when you found one?
Well, Singh suggests that the search for a master, it's often guided by karma. It's not just about actively searching, but about cultivating the qualities that make you, receptive to their guidance. Qualities like humility, sincerity, a true thirst for truth.
So it's about becoming the kind of student a true master would want to teach.
Precisely. It's about aligning yourself with that vibration, that frequency, and trusting that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
This is fascinating. But there's something else I wanted to ask you about. Throughout these excerpts, Singh keeps mentioning this term, Naam or Satnam. It seems really important, but he never really, defines it. Any insights?
You're right. He does kind of use it, assuming this base level of understanding. In essence, Naam refers to the divine word, the primordial vibration that all of creation emerges from. It's often described as the sound current, kind of like a cosmic melody that vibrates through everything.
Okay, so it's not just a word. It's more like this vibrational force.
Exactly. And Satnam specifically refers to the true name of God, the essence of the divine. It's considered a sacred mantra, a powerful tool for, connecting with the divine within.
So when Singh talks about receiving Naam from a master, he's talking about something way more profound than just learning a new word.
Absolutely. He's talking about a transmission of spiritual energy, an initiation into the mysteries of that sound current. It's a really key element of his teachings. He believed that, connecting with Naam is essential for spiritual awakening and ultimately liberation.
Wow, that adds a whole other level of depth to what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
It's like the master isn't just a guide, but a conduit for this divine energy, this sound current.
Precisely. And by aligning ourselves with Naam through meditation, chanting, and the guidance of a true master, we can start to experience that divine resonance within ourselves. Ultimately, it's about liberation from that cycle of reincarnation.
This is mind-blowing stuff. Really makes you realize how much more there is to learn and experience beyond our everyday awareness. Makes you think about the possibilities, for sure.
This whole idea of a sound current connecting us all, it's kind of wild. But Singh, he doesn't just throw these abstract concepts at us. He actually talks about how to apply this knowledge to everyday life, which I appreciate.
Absolutely. He's all about making those connections. He was adamant that real, spiritual understanding, it should actually change how you live. And one of the biggest things he emphasizes is selfless service.
Okay, so it's not enough to just meditate on this stuff. We got to actually do something.
Exactly. Singh believed that real joy, real fulfillment, it comes from using your gifts, your talents to help others, to, make things better for everybody. So it's about seeing how your own journey is connected to everyone else's.
Exactly. And he's clear that selfless service, it's not about being a martyr or ignoring your own needs. It's about understanding that we're all connected and acting from a place of compassion and generosity.
It's like they say, a rising tide lifts all boats.
Exactly. And even those small acts of kindness, they create these ripple effects. And those ripples, they can make the world a more harmonious, more loving place.
That's a beautiful thought. We all have the power to make a difference. So we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. Reincarnation, spiritual masters, the power of Naam, even selfless service. What stands out to you as the biggest takeaway from Singh's work?
For me, it's that reminder that this life, it's precious. It's a chance to learn and grow and, become more. Singh, he wants us to really grab onto that. Don't take it for granted. Cultivate your potential. Live a life that, reflects your own inner light.
Beautifully said. And while reincarnation can seem like this, I don't know, huge, mysterious thing, Singh gives us a framework, tools, a path. He reminds us that we're not alone, that there's guidance out there, and that the journey, even with those bumps along the way, it's taking us back to our true home, back to that source of, pure love and light.
Yeah.
Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into reincarnation. It's been quite a journey. And as we sign off, here's something to keep those thoughts swirling around. If our soul's path is shaped by both our choices and those karmic threads from other lifetimes, is there any way to know for sure if those recurring dreams are echoes of past lives or just our mind trying to process this one? Something to think about. Thanks for being part of this deep dive.